Oh, the law of attraction. This is the law of attraction workshop by the teachings of Abraham Hicks, and how the teachings of we're applying the teaching of Abraham Hicks into our lives. My Jason, if you don't know me by now, and on the other end of the conversation is Jordan and Seligman, and we have come together to just kind of talk about our own experiences using the Abraham Hicks teachings into our lives.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, let me start out by saying I was super excited when I saw this video, Jason, because, you know, it's like getting a direct answer from source, from infinite intelligence, about how to deal with your day-to-day problems, and how obviously we are trained to do absolutely the opposite of what Esther Hicks is describing through Abraham in this video. The video we decided to research is called Abraham Hicks, Never Talk About That Issue Ever Again. And basically there's an interaction with an audience member, and he says, everything is going great, I love where I am, I'm at the right place at the right time. And she says, well, that's what we want you to feel all the time, in every circumstance of your life, your desk, at work, at home, in your car, that joy, because that's really what that is. When you feel you're at the right place at the right time, that's pure happiness. But he said there's just this one issue. And go ahead, Jason, tell us what we need to do when we have that one issue that's like the nail in our shoe.
You know, it's like, I guess, maybe some Italian mafia guys. Forget about it. Forget about it.
Forget about it. New Yorkers, forget about it.
You know, sometimes there's some things that are just kind of best. You know, there's a saying that sometimes some things are better left unsaid. And I think a lot of us, when we're not taught, or what we forget, is that we're taught to, you know, Moby Povich, to what I want to call, say, Moby Povich or Jerry Springer, our problems, and let the world know what we have going on with us, right? So, you know, in this realm of doing things a little bit differently, maybe it's different than what you grew up with, or different what you're taught, or different to what someone else is telling you, is if you're on your high-flying disc and something comes up that doesn't, it's not going to bring you happiness or joy or excitement, well, you have to leave that off to the side. You know, and to me, it comes back to there's another saying, and I'm full of sayings today, I guess, or quotes or stuff that people heard. I don't know why, but it says, "Let go and let God." Right? So it's not you taking care of the problem or forgetting about the problem. Question, okay, yeah, it's an issue, but then you let it go and let God handle the issue. Let Source handle the issue, because it's not your issue. Here is to find joy, happiness, and excitement in what you're doing, and keep your universe drama free.
Ellie agrees with
you. See, you know, that was a message, right? And you know, the universe is full of messages around you. You pay attention to them also. You know, there's so many of them. But you know, you have to focus on your own happiness, your own being, your own just feeling good about what you're doing. And I think once you do that, you'll start to see a turn of things. I have a few examples of that that we'll probably get into a little bit later. But in this video, she says when you're on the high flying disc, when you're on that, when you're in line with Source and you're seeing it, you're seeing that end result of what you want. And why let a little issue that usually is from somebody else bring you back down and pull you off of that disc? She says, don't sacrifice the vortex for anything or anybody, because it's your well-being, and it's your feeling good. And when you feel good, the people around you start to feel good. It's almost contagious, like the flu. Everybody catches your positivity, and the ones who don't resonate with it or don't want it won't come around. However, you'll see the people who do want to see it and who do want to be around you, because it is a great feeling.
Right. When you're feeling good, you'll attract other people who are bringing good energy to you. When you're feeling bad or thinking negative thoughts, that's what you're going to attract. So never jeopardize your peace. The goal is to be, we're calling it the high-flying disc because that's what Abraham refers to it, but it's basically just you're feeling good, you're feeling inspired about life, you're feeling like you are at the right place at the right time, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, what God wants you to do. There's no conflict, there's integrity in your actions and your words. The life is running smoothly, but you got this one little thing you want to deal with. The way to deactivate that vibration from your life is ignore it so that it dies from lack of attention. And that's almost literally what she said. Just ignore it. And we have this, we're compelled to share it. I know as a girl, we love to gossip and talk about our relationship issues with one another. And whenever something comes up, get on the phone, call that girlfriend, and then call another girlfriend, and then speak to a psychic, go to a therapist. All that is wasted energy just to say, you know what, it's not what I want right now, so I'm just going to leave it alone. Next.
There's a movie, and once you were saying that the girl calling your girlfriends, there's a movie, it's called Two Can Play That Game, and I think it's from the mid-2000s, 2004, 2006, somewhere around there. It's with was it Michael Chestnut, Morris Chestnut, and Gabrielle Union's in it a long time ago, and Vivica Fox is in it. And Vivica Fox and Morris Chestnut had a relationship, and then something happened. It was a misunderstanding. You know, like movies, kind of like Three's Company, misunderstanding, and then her girlfriends had kind of seen the misunderstanding and blew it way out of proportion, right? Well, that's what happens.
Right.
I mean, when you get other people involved, sometimes it blows things way out of proportion, and they overreact to the situation, what causes you to overreact to the situation, and it intensifies that problem. So what may have been something small can really blow up and be something big just because it came out of your mouth. However, if you would have kept that in and not said too much about it and let it handle itself, then it tends to just die. Now there's different form of challenges that are out there. I hate to say problems, I like to say challenges, and I'll take that problem back and call it a challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's different levels, and I do want to identify that, and but however, there's always a solution to that, and sometimes the solution will come from within on how you handle a situation. Every day we're going to be challenged with the challenge, and it's all how you deal with that challenge, but you can't let that challenge bring you down, because for your challenge there's somebody else with the even tougher challenge and an even tougher challenge. But what you have to do is, if there's a conflict with anybody, well, you're on that high plane, that high level to, if someone is like a scoffler, right, or someone who's sarcastic or whatever the case may be, well, that's the disc that they're on. They're on that sarcasm disc. Let them stay there, right? You can choose not to rebuck what you have going on, because they're on a lower flying disc. Sarcasm does come from a lower flying disc. What you want to come from is to be able to discern from where you are and give somebody like that the least amount of attention, because there's something going on with them and with their universe that you don't want to dabble into and get sucked back into that. You want to stay on your high plane and come from the level 7 of love and above of all times, and just show appreciation for everything you have going around you. Once you show appreciation for everything, I think things start to shift and start to change for you.
Right. If you see something that inspires you in your life that you're happy about, expand on that. Focus on that. And if you don't immediately see something that's good, pick a time or a memory of something that made you feel really good, an accomplishment or an outing with family or something you can focus on to slowly work your way back up. And you want to avoid negativity at all costs. One other solution, she said, is to, you want to be in the vortex of creation, your high-flying disc, because that's where the solution to all your problems exists. So you want to visit and hang out with your solutions in the vortex. They're no place else. Another reason to avoid interacting or talking or sharing about negative issues or contrasts in your life. You can point them out, you can notice them, just in time to, exit stage right.
Definitely, definitely. You know, it's still I'm almost 11 in California. I'm still enjoying a cup of coffee, so
Yeah.
it's still early for me out here. One example of that is, you know, last week there was a full moon. I think it kind of carried over into the early parts of this week, and I'm a firm believer, and this is just my personal thoughts, that funny things happen when there's a full moon, right? And so sometimes you have people coming at you in a different way, and I was in a situation this week to where I had there was a lot of negativity around me, and there was a lot of just there was a lot of what could have been conflict, because sometimes when there's a full moon, there was a lot of conflict, which could have been a lot of conflict, and what could have really exploded in a whole other direction. But I came at it when I took myself out of the situation and I looked at it from a different angle, and then I bring my soul back into myself. When I looked at the person across to me, it wasn't me. He was trying to conflict with. He is having a conflict with himself and trying to bounce that conflict off of me. So I told him, I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you're doing. So I came at him from a different stance, and instead of trying to come back at him with a conflict, I just came back at him with gratefulness and appreciation, and I totally diffused the conflict. And some may say, "Well, you're weak for doing that," or I mean, I can whip anybody's ass if I want to, but I choose not to do that because it's not the realm of where I want to be at. I come from a point of always showing appreciation, love, and happiness instead of a form of violence in any way. And when you start to do that, you'll start to see the people around you treat you differently. Um, there's a saying, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. Well, you have to make a stand at some point in your life and say, okay, this is what I stand for. This is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to treat the world. Jesus said, "The meek shall inherit the earth." Well, it's not easy to always come from that standpoint, but when you have the opportunity to do that, and when you align yourself with who you are and with Source, and you get to know yourself a lot better, and you handle people on that different type of level, well, then what happens is that people respond to you a lot differently. It totally stopped him in his tracks, and he had nothing else to say to me because he had nothing else to say. I think he realized there was fault in what he was saying and not what I was saying. And not that there's any fault to go around. There's never any blame. There's just an experience in the situation about something. And his experience, and he was trying to deflect upon me. Well, I'm not going to sit there and argue about something I don't argue about. I'm just going to show you gratefulness and appreciation for whatever the situation is, and then let's just, that's fine. Let's move on to something else that's more positive.
Well, I have to applaud you for not reacting, because so many of us have a knee-jerk response to life, to situations, and you did what in yoga they call it the breath of choice. You took a step back, assessed the situation, gave a response according to where you wanted to go with this, and without really attacking or confronting, which is so often the interactions. When something's negative, people immediately go like yelling or anger or physical aggression. You were not aggressive with your words or your actions or anything, so he had nothing left to do.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you could walk away in clarity.
Yes, definitely. At that point, he knew that, oh, what can I say now, And some people are just looking for that conflict. They're looking. We're enamored in the world of conflict right now, right? There's so much conflict going on in the world, I'm not big on watching the news or keeping up on current events, and by saying that, it actually makes for great conversation when you meet somebody. You say, "Oh, so what's new in the world?" Right? Because so you have, realistically, right, instead of getting the news from CNN, you can get it from 20 different people. It's almost like you have 20 different reporters out there for you, doing all the work for you, and you're just having a conversation with someone. People like to feel good about themselves and like to be listened to and like to be heard. And a lot of times they're not heard or not allowed to listen to. So this is something I just wanted to throw out there. But there's so much conflict going on in the world today that, we need to diffuse it any way we can. And where we're going is to a more form of happiness, peace, joy, and love. Not sound like a hippie, but it's where the world is going to. Once the conclusion of this system of things, basically, right? The road's going to shift over to a more of a togetherness and a oneness. We are all connected in this world. We are all connected, and if you look at some of the the ancient teachings and some of the new stuff that's coming out of quantum physics is showing that we are connected. Science is starting to see that we're all connected. We all have this way of transferring thoughts and picking up thoughts from infinite intelligence, and that's basically what Abraham is teaching here. Is we're all connected to Source, but
we're all Source energy.
We all have the energy. We are energy. We are light. We are love. And we choose not to come from that point and see reality as reality. Well, reality is 3D. It's not necessarily what it is. It's just this is just here. We're just here in the physical form, but in the energy form, we're infinite in the things that we can do.
Well, she talks about reality, vibrational reality versus physical reality of the senses. And the vibration reality is just as or more substantial than the physical reality. We focus so much on physical reality and we kind of leave the energetic vibrational reality aside. But what you're describing, I think there will come a day when there won't be any news. Because what is news? Telling it like it is, especially the bad parts, over and over and over and over and over again. And if we take the teachings of Abraham Hicks, which is cutting-edge thinking, she even intros the conversation with, let's think thoughts that have never been thought before. Cutting-edge thoughts. Like, if anything negative happens, let's not repeat it ever again. That would totally goes against any journalistic activity. I studied journalism in college, and because I really wanted to do film, and I found myself over and over in situations where I said, I don't want to be watching this and doing nothing about it. Or yellow journalism, I was told to write a story and exaggerate certain negative aspects of it. And that's when I knew that I really didn't want to be a journalist per se. But imagine if journalism, would focus on only the good things over and over and over again, we'd probably have a different world.
Yeah, we would. We really would. And I just had a thought, but I'm not going to share that thought. It was, it was a little.
Oh, come on.
No, it's cool.
Okay.
I'll keep that thought for a different day. But coming from this, it's the more, I guess, goodness you feel inside of yourself, or whatever. I mean, some people have badness in them and they feel and they want to do bad. I mean, I guess there's a different pendulum for everybody, and I don't condone doing anything wrong or anything bad, but it's kind of where discernment comes in to know what's right from what's wrong, and we're all given that. I think we're all kind of born with that, and it kind of comes innate to us what's right from wrong, and focusing on what's right, doing what's right, and being righteous with yourself. You will have righteousness to yourself. And she talks a lot about the law of attraction. Well, crazy thing, right? So after that happened, a few days later, I leave that situation, and there was a gentleman who I wanted to work with, and this happened a week before when I said, I really want to work with this guy, and I went through a couple of avenues of trying to find a way to work with him, or seeing if there's a way I can work with him. Well, 3 days after I parted from that negative situation that appeared in my life. So it's they talk
You
about
mean
people.
the opportunity? The
Yes,
opportunity you were looking for came.
yes, yeah. Sorry, yes. The opportunity I was looking for just kind of popped up in front of me, and I was like, oh, well, this is great. So she talks about the law of attraction, and it's starting with small things, and it's working its way up. I think what happens a lot of times is we in this current reality that we're living in, we see things as oh my goodness, I want it to happen now. Like we want instant gratification to everything around us. Well, I mean, and not to say that can't happen, but in the Napoleon Hill's book Think and Grow Rich, you have to be ready for a thing for it to appear to you, right? And I think that book talks about a lot about the energy and desires, and the law of attraction is also in that book too, if you kind of really dig down deep into the meaning of it. And it's saying it to a point to where you have to be a ready for a thing for it to appear to you. And I have attracted things in my life this way, and there's small things, and I'm grateful for them. But this is just the beginning. I mean, I've been in this. It's been a couple months since we've been kind of studying her videos and trying to put her practices into our lives. So
right.
I recognize it as not. You can call it coincidence if you want to, but however, I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in purpose, and there's a purpose behind everything behind it. So I see these little jumps and little opportunities coming up here and there for me to do things, and I'm just running with them as fast as possible. But I'm allowing it to happen the way it's meant to happen, though.
Key word, allowing.
Yes.
You have to allow. That's basically the opposite of what we do. We struggle and grab something and work with our willpower and our steadfastness, and really all we have to do is visualize it the way we want it to be and just sit back and allow it. And because as soon as we create a desire, Source is accepting that as a done deal for us. It doesn't take long. What takes long is for us to be ready to receive it. That's the only thing holding, our desires, keeping them from us.
And I think for myself, I have so much, just garbage from the past that I'm, of course you have to let go of all this stuff, right? So it's a path. Mm-hmm. And so, as soon as I let one thing go, something else comes up. I let something else go, and something else comes up. So it's it's a process, and you have to go through the process and let the process work for you, and continue to work at it every day. Wake up with the feeling of just being of gratitude and being grateful, and just wanting to make something amazing happen for yourself, and having that amazing feel of joy. I like to say excitement for the day. Just being excited and giddy, having that childlike presence around whatever you're involved in, and letting it unfold in front of you the way it's meant to happen.
Right, without having any prejudged ideas of how it's going to come about, because we really don't know how it's going to come about. Just focusing on the end result we want with excitement and with the knowing that it's already in vibrational form.
Yes.
It's already been done. And if we operate from that position, if we think in that manner and place ourselves in that, and everything we do comes from that context, that our desires have already been fulfilled in the vibrational escrow of our lives, then everything will flow much, much easier.
I love that word desire. I was watching a movie called, of course, it's going to be a shameless plug, but Jason and the Argonauts, right?
Mm-hmm. Jason what?
Jason and the Argonauts.
Oh, okay.
It's an ancient, like a Greek movie. He's a Greek legend or whatever. Of course, I watched it because I watched it when I was a kid because my name was involved. But I wanted to watch it again, so I watched it a couple of weeks ago, and it was a great movie. Of course I'm going to say that, right? It's my name is involved. Mm-hmm. But he talks about what he desired. He talks about what he desired, and there was a situation where he could have became king of this country. And he said, no, that's not what I desire. I don't desire to be king of this country. My desires are different. You can have the kingdom. I don't want it. So his purpose was already set. He knew what he wanted. He knew what he desired, and he went on a mission to get what he desired. And along this path, it's, you know, he met these people who helped him and things of that nature there. So it's kind of like, you know, if you want to bring it down to that level, it's kind of like, you know, what you personally desire and the path that's along to what you have to do to get it. And, you know, they talk about setting goals and having goals, and then it's not necessarily the attainment of the goal, but the person you have to become in order to achieve that goal. And, you know, allowing yourself to find connection with source is a part of that. It's a part of the person you become along this path to obtain what you ultimately desire, and the people you can help along the way to help them with their desires. And that's kind of why we're here doing this collective of hangouts, just to help people when we're just average people who love to help others, for one. But we all have our own desires, and within this context of things, we're allowed to desire what it is that we want, and we just want to help you, or just be, I guess, vessels to see that anybody can do this if they so choose to.
Not only desire what you want, but access and attain what you want. And, you know, I've heard it before. Even my own parents would tell me, you can do whatever you want in life. You can do whatever you want. That was step one, you know, identifying what you want and going for it no matter what anyone says or thinks. But we never got past the point of how do you get there quickly. Well, when I was told, it was go to school. And that was confusing because that didn't really get me what I wanted. It got me an education, but so anyway, the real deal is to allow and manage your vibration. You know, manage, at least notice when you're not vibrating on a high plane. When you're not, and start thinking about how are you going to get to that high level. One thing Esther says is we wake up. Like, ever heard someone say you woke up on the wrong side of the bed? We have to consciously wake up into the vibration that we're committed to being. And that doesn't just happen by accident. Sometimes it does. A dream will, you know, provoke you in one direction or another. But even that comes from the thoughts you thought the night before you went to bed. So manage during the hours before going to sleep and just before waking up, or as you're waking up, your vibration by thinking the thoughts that put you on a high plane. Some things might be memories, it might be a vision board, it might just come from gratitude, being grateful, seeing all the things in your way that you're grateful for. You know, the bed you're in, the company you have, your family, your children, your parents, the food that you're able to enjoy at breakfast, the weather, whether it's sunny or rainy, it's still worthy of being grateful for because we need both. And just finding things to appreciate and praise in others, as well as in your own environment.
Yes, that is beautiful. Because, and you mentioned something, you mentioned vision boards, and you use those a lot, correct?
I do. I really enjoy it, and now I think I have a mental picture of my vision board, and it really does work to make me feel good, because sometimes I'll get a little distracted. Okay, what's my mission? I get the picture of my vision board in my head, and I can focus on my why and focus on the good things, and a lot of them are coming to life. It's a neat way to put your desires out in the universe.
It's beautiful.
Yes, I recommend it. I had a vision board, I guess I was 24 or 25 when I went to live in New York City. And before then I had been making a vision board because I studied Shakti Gaiwan's book, Visualization, that a friend recommended. A little skinny little book, and I thought that was great and fun, and so I cut out pictures from a magazine and stuck them. Years later I came home for a visit, and I looked under my bed. There was this poster board, and I looked at it, and many of the items on the vision board had actually come true, and I didn't notice it until I realized that I had a picture of the Empire State Building, which was the exact view from my apartment in New York where I lived almost
Wow.
5 years. And there was a model that I used because I liked her clothing. It was like an executive. Well, I had done a job, an assignment with that model and things of that
Wow.
nature. Yeah, so I'm excited. I've got some neat things on my vision board, and they're going to happen.
Yes. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They're already there for you.
They're happening. They're already there.
That's cool.
And one is a boat we've talked about before, the family boat, and that's been a lot of fun. And that's definitely, I got the kids involved in that mentally so we can get that, and it was a very good opportunity for us, and we can enjoy it. And I remind myself that it's part of the vision board that's already come to fruition.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And the neat thing is nowadays you don't even have to own a magazine. You just go on the internet and download photos of what you want.
That's what I do with my phone. My vision board is on my phone. It's a slideshow. And there's a song from, there's a couple songs that really resonate with me. But there's a song from Robin Thicke called "The Good Life," and he talks about how, you know, life can take you up and down, life can steer you all around, but the good life, I know you made it. The good life, I know you made it with me. And he talks about how he had to go through some trials in order to get what he wants, and you know, how people that didn't know his name now know his name, and did have him having to go back to his hometown and kind of find his way back to like what he wanted. And if people are asking him, well, have you made it yet? You've been doing that, you've been at it for so long, have you made it yet? He's like, no, I have, you know, I have made it. I am here, I have arrived, you know. And so that's playing in the background, and I'm looking at, you know, these pictures of these other places I want to travel to, because, you know, my personal thing is, you know, I'm in my vortex is to design my lifestyle by design, basically, right? I want to design my own lifestyle the way that I see fit, to do and go where I want at any time. And so my first trip is going to be to Spain, and and this goes back to when I was 14 years old, and I had a Spanish class, and we had to, you know, do this big, you know, project, and I did this elaborate setup for a Spanish trip, and it was so good that my teacher asked me if I wanted to keep it for a vision board. I'm like, a vision board? What's that? I don't care. Just throw it away, you know.
Only in California. I don't think that ever happened with a teacher in Miami. Keep this for your vision board. That's a California event.
And she was really cool too. She was a really cool teacher, and I learned a lot of Spanish that I forgot. So I'm gonna have to buy some Spanish audios. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna have to buy some Spanish audios and play them over and over again while I sleep. But so, and it kind of came to life. Okay, well, I want to check out Greece, and I want to check out Spain, and maybe Portugal. And of course, there's a whole other places I want to check out. But I was going through, I think I was on Google Plus, and I seen these pictures of Greece. So I'm like, all these beaches are beautiful. You know, so I set the intent out for about a year and a half, about a year and a half from now, to actually make that trip happen. So that's, that will be the first of many, what I call mini vacations, that I'm gonna have planned for myself, because we're here to enjoy life and
the bounty of life.
Yes, and have happiness, and I've seen my initial intent was a lot larger than that, but this is the part of my intent, and I think it was about a month ago when I really seen that come to life, and I understood why everything that I manifested back in September of 2013, I see it happening now. Even before I was into the law of attraction type thing, I've set intents on really not knowing, and
By default, yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Well, the law of attraction has been around as long as the Earth has been around. We just haven't been plugged into it and haven't been taking ownership of it. And I think that's why this is cutting edge thought, because it's going to be expected and usual for us to understand our own participation in our life. You know, the world is a stage, and we are all actors on the stage. Is really the way people have been living. Like, give me the lines of whatever's coming up next. We respond accordingly. But we're getting out of that phase and entering a deliberate creation phase, where we are deliberate creators of our own experience. We know it, and we consciously do it, and everyone gets their dreams. That's the world I'm working towards. And by the way, I have on my vision board a picture of Santorini, Greece, that I want to take the whole family.
To where?
Santorini. That's
Where's
apparently where Atlantis is. It's really picturesque. It's beautiful.
Okay.
I was there many years ago to visit. That was a very interesting trip. I guess I was young 20s, and this is an example of the law of attraction. I had a bad bronchitis or something, and I was going to go to Germany on the tour, my own tour, and the doctor said, no, go somewhere warm. So I went to Greece. I was going on the train in Brindisi in Italy. I had family there, so that was my home base in Italy. And as I was getting on the bus, waiting for people, I realized, holy guacamole, I don't speak Greek. I don't want to go somewhere alone where everything's more expensive if you can't split the cost with someone. And I got to find a travel mate really quick. So I'm looking around, I'm assessing who's with who. There was a clique of Americans, but they were kind of all together. And I looked in the train, and there was an old man sitting by himself. I said, well, at least I'll be safe, so I'll sit next to him. And we started talking, and then a girl came on just as the train was about to take off. And I looked at her, and I said, are you from New York? I don't know what prompted me to say that. And she said, yeah, are you? I said, no, I've never been to New York. And that conversation started a friendship that lasted, up until now. That was many years ago. We spent a lot of time in Greece together. We were great friends and had all kinds of little mini adventures traveling within the islands. And it was just because I set out the intent, God send me a travel partner. And she did.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was an experience. We love to talk about it. We get back, remember this thing that happened and that thing. We ended up being in a movie because she saw a sign, which I had totally ignored, that said, we're looking for extras for the movie Summer Lovers with Daryl Hannah and Peter Gallagher. It was one of their first movies, and it was Daryl Hannah's first movie. And we went and auditioned for the part of extras, and we got to do it, and I got to drive the Jeep on the cliff, which was an experience. Yeah, it was a funny experience. But had I not been with her, I would not have seen that. And, it's more fun when you go with someone. So that was implementing, prayer. Prayer, people say prayer works. Prayer and the law of attraction are the same thing.
Yes. Yeah. That's an amazing story. That's pretty cool. That's actually really cool. I like that. I like that a lot. It almost kind of resembles kind of how we met at the event in Miami. Right. Because I went there with the intent of finding people to do stuff live with, and we started with 3 of us. Now it's just us 2, but we're doing something. This is something different than what the initial intent was, but this is so much more, I think, educational. So I like this a lot better. Yeah, this is a calling. Yes. I mean, I feel a strong calling to be discussing these concepts in an entertaining way, because, first of all, what's
what can be more entertaining than knowing you're on the cutting edge of thought?
Yes.
Infinite intelligence is disseminating this information now on the planet now, and we're helping to further that thought. And there's this theory of the 100th monkey that, you know, you teach one monkey to do something, and I don't know exactly how it goes. I think it's you teach 10 monkeys, and before you know it, 100 monkeys know how to do it.
Yes. Yes.
So
that's a part of quantum physics that they talk about, where we share, you know, our conscious selves. We share things with each other. And to bring up Eric Braden again, he talked about the collective of before 9/11, that there was some measurement to judge, I guess, the human collective. I'm not sure what it is. I can't explain it. But he talked about the day before 9/11, the consciousness was set differently than at any time. And I can't pinpoint, or, you know, I'm just kind of paraphrasing what he said. But it's almost like the human consciousness knew something bad was going to happen before it happened. So, and it, you know, it kind of goes into like dogs and earthquakes. They say that dogs are so aware, excuse me, that they can feel earthquake before it happens. Like they're able to really feel that and understand that, and they kind of act a little bit different in these times. The human collective, I guess, is the same way. We just don't really realize that we're all connected in a way, and our consciousness. What's that?
The collective unconscious.
Yes, the collective.
Is it unconscious or consciousness? I
think it's consciousness. I think it's consciousness. Yeah. And you know, we're all connected, and there was actual, I guess, before that day before 9/11, there was actually a dip in I guess I can say morale, I guess, or consciousness to where.
How can they measure that?
It's some form of some metaphysical. I don't know. It's something to do with metaphysics. That they're able to do something like that. You know, the government. No, I'm gonna leave that one alone too.
Yeah. And we advise you to do the same. Turn off CNN, ABC, and all those.
Yeah, we have our own news radar if we pay attention to it. So I'll just say that.
Right. Yeah. I used to do it with my kids. I'd try to teach them to be perceptive, and we'd be walking around the block, and I'd walk behind them, and I have them try to figure out if I was stopping or if I was walking, you know, or if I was directly behind them or I had moved over. So that was the best way I could get them in tune.
That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
I like that. I personally can. There was one incident where I was at a CVS station, and I walked by a group of kids. When I walked in, and I go, oh, they want money. And I go, oh, they're either gonna try to jump me for some money, or, you know, whatever. And I protect myself. I'm not afraid of that. And so I walked out, and as I approached my car, this girl comes to me, excuse me, sir, you know, do you have a dog I can borrow so I can ride the bus? I was like, oh, you know, here you go. I gave her like 5 quarters. You know, so it was just funny how I was able to pick up on, you know, that they wanted money. And then my first, you know, my primal instinct was, oh, they're gonna try to jump me. Yeah, I was ready for that, right? But had nothing to do with it. They just, you know, for some kids who needed some cash, you know, so no big deal.
Well, Abraham says, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I'm good.
No, you go ahead. Abraham says we're all psychic.
Yes.
We're all telepathic.
Yes, we really are. Just got to work on your skills. It's nothing that, you know, you have to kind of be in tune to it.
You have to practice.
I do believe that. Practice makes perfect.
Practice.
Nothing happens
feeling
overnight.
Good. Practice feeling good. Right. But once we know
being in the moment.
Absolutely. Being present. Once we accept and are open to this information, you can't go back. It's like you can't act the old way, like that we're not responsible for our life. You can't just say, you can't be victims. Like there are no victims. If it's all our design. If our life is made up of our thoughts, our feelings, and our desires and intentions, we can't look to anyone else for blame.
It all comes back to personal accountability. Accountability, you know,
Mm-hmm.
personal accountability.
Yeah,
So do you want to end it there?
I guess so.
It was great spending about this hour with you, Jordana, and everyone watching. Is really great having you watch us, and um, we'll continue to do this every Thursday. Probably I guess 1 o'clock Eastern, between 12 and 1 o'clock Eastern. We'll get something set up to where if you want to have updates or article updates, so you can subscribe and
Mm-hmm.
leave your email information, and we can send you updates. Nothing too over. We're not going to over spam you with stuff. Just cool
No.
informational tips on when we're going to have our show, when our show is up on our blog, and things of that nature there, just to keep you in tune with what we have going on.
And in the meantime, check out the Abraham Hicks videos for yourself. They're available on YouTube. They also have tapes that you can order. And, we're friends of Abraham Hicks. And thank you, Jason, for this opportunity to share that information with you.
Yes, yes. It's been a great hour with everybody. And cup of coffee finished. And we'll call it a day. You guys have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.